Shalom. This is Hadassah by Saiwan, and this is End Times Prophecy Watch. And we will be watching the unfolding of Yahawah's End Times prophecies to see how they pertain to us today and what it means for us tomorrow. So, welcome. This is part one called The First Beast of the Book of Revelation. Now, let's get started. Now, there are two beasts in the book of Revelation. And today we will look at the first beast. Many have concluded that this first beast is the anti-Messiah when it is not. Now, this is the confusion that is out there because of all these false teachings. Because people cannot and do not and will not understand the book of Revelation. The book of Revelation is a prophetic book with prophetic imagery. And the only way that you can understand, and let me just say, the entire Bible is filled with prophetic imagery, symbolisms. And the only way that we can unlock those prophecies to have an understanding of the meanings of what the prophets or the servants of Alahayam were seeing is through Ruach HaKodesh. Even the prophets needed help to understand what they were seeing. And sometimes, even though the interpretation was given, they still could not understand because the vision that they received was too advanced in time for them. Just like Yawachanan, just like Dana Ya'al. So it is vitally important to understand that the only way we will understand the imagery, the prophetic imagery in the book of Revelation is through Ruach HaKodesh. Alahayam Yahawah did it this way because only those that have eyes to see will see, and ears to hear will hear what Ruach is saying. So Hamashiach, he spoke this throughout the first chapter of the book of Revelation. Well, not throughout, but within the book of Revelation. He also spoke it in the book of Yawachanan. Because not everyone will have eyes to see or ears to hear, neither will they understand because of either ignorance or the fact that they're meant to be in the dark. That the knowledge is not for them. Okay? The knowledge is only given to those who it is intended for. And that would be the children. All right? Now we have to look at the language carefully to see what Yawachanan was saying. Once we are clear about what this first beast is, then the second beast will also be clear. All right? So let's look at Revelation chapter 13, starting from verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. So you're going to see this image of a beast with 7 heads and 10 horns and crowns in various scriptures, all right, of the book of Revelation. We'll see it again in Revelation chapter 12. All right. The reason why this beast is being shown to Yawachanan is because Alahayam Yahawah wants us to understand one thing about this beast. It is an old enemy. There's nothing new under the sun. This enemy is an old enemy. All right? So in later studies, we will look at the components of this beast, like the heads, the horns, and the crowns. But first, we have to understand this beast. We have to understand what this beast is, what it represents. Okay? Yawakanaz saw this first beast ascending from the sea. This is all prophetic imagery that will speak volumes if you understand its symbolisms. Sea, like waters, is oftentimes symbolic of peoples, multitudes from different nations. All right? So let's look at Yasharaal chapter 7, verse 2. Yasharaal spoke and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse, meaning different one from another. So even Yasharaal saw sea. All right? And out of this sea came these four beasts. Let's look at verse 37 of the same chapter. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. So the angel was giving Yasharaal the interpretation of the dream that he had about these four beasts. And by the way, these four beasts are connected to this beast here in Revelation chapter 13 and also Revelation chapter 12. All right. Now, although he said kings, they represent four kingdoms, but we're not going to look at that now. Okay. But he said they will rise up out of the earth, meaning that they have an earthly component to them, meaning that they are of the earth, people. All right. Multitudes. And if you know anything about the four major kingdoms that Yasharaal saw, first was Babylonian, Medes and Persia, Greece, and Rome. They were all four conquering empires that swallowed up civilizations. All right. That's why he said they arise out of the earth. Let's look at Revelation chapter 17, verse 15. And he said unto me, the waters that which you saw, where the whore sits, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So once again, we see the symbolism of waters, sea, earth, representing peoples, multitudes, and nations. All right? And tongues, of course. So we see here in Revelation chapter 17 and Yasharaal chapter 7 are using symbolisms that the servants of Alahayam were seeing but could not understand. It is for this reason why we need help interpreting the prophetic imagery, and Ruach HaKadosh is the only one who can help us with this today. Alahayam Yahawah sent his angels to help even the prophets to understand his prophecies, as we see in the case of Yasharaal. So in the Old Testament, we saw Yasharaal, Yahazakaal, who is Ezekiel, Yasharaal, the prophets, when they received visions or dreams and they needed interpretation so that they can understand what they have seen, Alahayam sent angels. But now, today, Alahayam has his Ruach Kadash here to give us understanding. Those who are given the knowledge to understand, given the mind to understand. Okay, I was trying to find the right word. Yes, not everyone will understand because not everyone wants to understand. Some people already made up their minds what they have understood these scriptures, these prophecies to mean. Right? They have already fitted their understanding of these scriptures in that little proverbial box called logic. All right? We cannot use logic when it comes to Alahayam and his prophecies. That's why we depend on the revelation of Ruach HaKodesh to help us to understand prophecy. All right? So today we have Ruach HaKodesh. If he is not speaking revelation, then the revelation that people are receiving today are coming from familiar spirits, unclean spirits, Nephilim spirits, whatever spirits you want to call them, fallen angels, what have you, right? It's coming from them. It's not coming from Alahayam Yahawah. All right? He gives his own, the interpretation. He does not give it to the enemy. So if you are already an enemy of his because you're calling all these different gods, he's not going to give you understanding. He's going to allow you to continue on with your demons and let them keep you far away from him. And this is what's happening today. A lot of people are having these dreams and visions, and they're thinking that it's from Alahayam Yahawah. But they're getting the visions from Jesus. They're getting the visions from Yahuwah. All right? That's not the name of our Heavenly Father, and that's definitely not the name of the Son. Jesus is not the name of the Son. So anytime you hear them if you hear anyone calling on these names and titles, know that they are familiar spirits that are misleading them, and Alahayam is permitting this. Because our people are stubborn. And the one thing that has always drawn us away from Alahayam Yahawah are these same spirits, unclean spirits, all these different names and titles of other gods that people are so happy to worship. All right? They're happy to worship because 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 people are calling on the same name. Millions of people are calling on the same name. So it got to be the right name. Got to be the right title. Okay. So Alahayam sent his angels to help even the prophets. I read that already. We also see, okay, let's read that again. Alahayam Yahawah sent his angels to help even the prophets to understand his prophecies, as we see in the case of Yasharaal. We also see that waters, sea, and earth are all used to symbolize people. So this is the first thing we have to understand. What is it that Yawachanan saw? Yawachanan by the name is John, okay? But we call him Yawachanan because that's the correct name in our language, okay? So let's look at Yasharaal chapter 7 verse 15. I, Yasharaal, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. And I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and made known to me the interpretation of the things. So you see, Yasharaal, the great prophet, needed help to help with interpretation of the dreams and visions he received. Okay? Yasharaal chapter 10 verse 12. Then said he unto me, Fear not, Yasharaal, for from the day that you set your heart to understand and to chasten yourself before Alahayam, your words were heard, and I am come for your words. So the angel said to Yasharaal, because you humbled yourself, you didn't go to a concordance, you didn't go online, you didn't go to another person to try to figure out what it is that you saw in your dreams or your vision. And I'm just being, tongue in cheek, okay? But he humbled himself before Alahayam Yahawah, and he set his heart to understand. He prayed for understanding, in other words. He didn't assume anything. He didn't go to his other friends, the three Oberoi boys, young men, the ones that were thrown in the fire. He didn't go to them to help him to interpret the dream or the vision. He got down on his knees and he prayed. And he set his heart to understand. He didn't assume anything. He just prayed for understanding. Verse 14, now I am come to make you understand what shall befall your people in the latter days. For yet the vision is for many days. Meaning the vision is set for the future. Not in your era, but in a distant era, which is our era today. That's why even after the interpretation, Daniel still couldn't understand the interpretation, because it was not meant for him to understand. Okay? It was not meant for him to even know, per se. He was a vessel being used to bring out, to speak the prophecy, to write it down for us today. His job was done. But being like people, he wanted to know what it is that I'm seeing. And even though it was explained to him, he was still troubled in his mind. The servants of Alahayam cannot understand his prophecies unless they are revealed to him. Therefore, the first beast of revelation is misunderstood and taught in error to be a man, when in fact it is a beast empire. Okay? And this is the reason why I went to the trouble of looking at Yasharaal, chapter 7 and chapter 10, to help us to understand that prophecy, any prophecy whatsoever, even the prophets could not understand. The servants, like Yawakanah, didn't understand. They have to be interpreted for us. And we cannot assume because a bunch of people are saying it is this, that it is that. So many people are teaching that the first beast is a man, which is erroneous. All right? It is a beast empire, just like Babylon was a beast empire, just like Medes and Persia was a beast empire, just like the Greek empire was a beast empire. Same thing with the Roman Empire was a beast empire. All right? This is the reason why it is emerging out of many peoples and nations and tongues, to indicate to us that it will be a vast empire enveloping the entire world. Then this then will be fitting for the coming new world order that had been spoken about by many leaders for many years. So they have introduced this idea way back. Bush grandfather, when he was president, I believe he was president or senator or something, and he was the one that started speaking about this new world order. All right, and then his son spoke about it, and then that other son spoke about it, then the Clinton guy spoke about it, then Obama spoke about it. All these presidents of the United States spoke about this new world order, along with other important people, as we call them, whether they're in the Congress or what have you, from other countries as well. They're calling on this NWO, and I'll call it that because I don't want to be censored on this platform. Okay, so the NWO is this beast empire that Yawakanah saw emerging out of peoples and tongues and nations that will envelop the entire world. All right? This will be the beast empire that will be a technology focused empire. And it is the reason why technology has greatly increased and overwhelmed the world today. You wonder why suddenly all these inventions are popping up like pimples? Huh? They're popping up everywhere. And they're bringing out newer versions of the old technology that they had even the year before. One time, you will get a cell phone every couple of years, a new version of a cell phone every couple of years. Then it was every year. And then suddenly in 1 year, they had like 4 or 5 different versions of the iPhone. I remember that. I don't follow the newest of anything because as long as what I have is working, I don't need to get anything new. All right? Because these newer technologies that they're giving out to people are becoming more and more invasive. All right? More and more invasive. They just want you to fall in love with all the different things that you can do with your phone. You can unlock it with your eyeball or with a voice command or whatever they put on in the technology to make you fall in love with it. So that when the real thing comes along now, you'll be like, yeah, I want that too. That'll be the one thing that will really make you a prisoner in your own home. You can't even speak a word without this device or whatever device you have in your home picking up and transporting it to their ears. That's the new world order that's coming. That's the NWO that's coming. And that's why they want us to fill our homes with technology. Because they're going to use technology to spy on you in your bedroom, in your bathroom, in your kitchen. There will be a place in your home that does not have a spy machine to watch and listen. As long as you have a television, they can watch you and they can hear you. You got a phone, you got a computer, even the refrigerator, everything will have some sort of spy technology to keep an eye on you. They'll be watching you and listening. All right? This is what the NWO is coming with. And this is the reason why when Yasharaal saw it, he called it terrible. It was so grotesque, he couldn't even describe an animal. He couldn't even compare it to an animal because it was technology, machinery that was connected to this empire, making it grotesque. All right? So don't fall in love with this technology. It's here to do one thing, to spy. And if you don't do what they want you to do, they know how to find you. And not only that, they'll use the same technology to kill you too. All right, I just saw a thing a few years ago. And I saw another video, a little clip of, there were these drones that's the size of a pea. Not joking. And these drones they come in groups. And what they can program these drones to do is to cut into your home, cut through glass, anything. And they're loaded. All right, they're loaded. You know with what? Ammunition. And they're seeking out a target. And that target would be that person that will not comply. And they can take them out. Even though the drone might lose its purpose, because it can only be used once. They don't care. They can manufacture these things like nothing. I saw recently somebody was showing these they weren't drones, they looked like caterpillars, but mechanical caterpillars. They had several legs, maybe 6, 8, probably like 6 legs. They looked like mechanical spiders. But the thing about these mechanical spiders, they were very small, and they were very agile, and they can fold themselves up and crawl and through a very small space. But another thing too that can be done with these mechanical spiders is that they can load them up as well. Load them up, and these things can crawl around and do whatever. All right, so between The ones flying in the air, they got them crawling on the ground now like little ants, little spiders. I know there's people that was talking about they make drones that look like insects, so they can fly attached to, say you're driving, right? And all of a sudden this bug attach itself to your windshield. You don't even know what it is. It is a drone in the shape of an insect that is loaded to take you out. All these things, I've seen them. You might not find much of this now on the internet because a lot of stuff has been taken down. This empire here is getting ready to rise up. The only reason why it has not risen up as yet is because Alahayam has submerged it. And so it's not time for you to come up yet. But it's putting all its different plans together because it's getting ready to rise up. And when it rises up, it's going to do so quickly because it knows it only has 3.5 years to exist. 3.5 years to reign on this earth before Alahayam takes it out. It will go underground, then come back again for the last time. We'll look at that later on. So whatever, when it's time for it to rise up, it will do so in less than a day. Because all the different components that make up the NWO is ready. The only reason why it has not fully activated every single part of its components is because of Alahayam Yahawah. The southern kingdom has to get out of here first. Not before. All right? Let's read on. It is also the reason why technology will be used as a weapon against people without them knowing until it's too late. It is also for this reason why Yasharaal could not describe the beast that he saw, as it was undescribably evil looking. What was revealed to him was how grotesquely wicked this empire will be that its looks cannot even be described. Now, think about Yasharaal back in those days, and he's seeing technology and the evil that is swirling around technology. How can he describe it? He can't describe it. He doesn't even know what technology is. All right, let's look at Revelation chapter 13, verse 2 now. And the beast that I saw was like unto a leopard. His feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Now we're given the description of this first beast that is like the beast in Yasharaal. So that's why what Yawachanan saw coming out of the sea cannot be a man. If the beasts that were described to Yasharaal were called empires, why would the one that is being described here coming out of the sea in Revelation chapter 13 verse 1, now in Revelation chapter 13 verse 2, describe just like the animals that Yasharaal saw? Why would it be a man and not be an empire? It will have to be an empire. Because what Yasharaal saw, the four beasts that came out of the sea, for the great sea, that Yasharaal saw were empires, world-dominating empires. So therefore, what Yawachanan saw has to be an empire. Yasharaal chapter 7, verse 4. The first beast was like a lion and had eagle's wings. Now, I'm not going to read the entire description of the animals, just what they are, to show you that Yasharaal saw the same animals. However, the difference between Yasharaal and Yawachanan saw one beast that had the leopard, feet of a bear, mouth of a lion. One beast that had those attributes of those three animals. Whereas Danayah saw 4 animals. All right, but the 4th animal had no description. All right, that's the only difference. And each animal that Danayah saw was an empire. So there are 3 empires that he saw that had beastly attributes. Verse 5, and behold another beast, a second like to a bear. Verse 6, after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard. So here, Danayah saw the same lion, bear, and leopard. Okay. After this, verse 7, I saw, sorry, let me read that again. Verse 7, after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and broke in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts there were before it, and it had 10 horns. Okay? Now, the reason why the 4th beast in Danayah could not be described was because it was the first beast of Revelation. That's supposed to be single there, which is comprised of all the animal or the beast empires that existed before it. What we are to understand from Danayah's prophecy is that the first beast of Revelation is made up of past world dominating empires that didn't die. They were just absorbed. So the Babylonian Empire was absorbed into the Medes and Persian Empire. And when they were conquered by the Greeks, then the Greeks, the Medes and Persian Empire that had already absorbed the Babylonian Empire was also absorbed into the Greek Empire. And the same thing happened with the Roman Empire. So that's why the Roman Empire now was comprised of 3 beasts: the Babylonian Empire, the Medes and Persian, and the Greek Empire. All 3 were absorbed by the Roman Empire. That's why the Roman Empire, when you look at these individual empires, they all worship the same gods, but by different names. All right, that's how you know they were absorbed. Alahayam overthrew them by their own people. All right, but then they absorb themselves into the next empire. Now we are speaking of the Babylonian, Medes, and Persian, and finally the Greek empires. It is the reason why Yawachanan saw the first beast as having the body of a leopard, symbolic of speed, because this empire will rise speedily. It will arise out of the sea, out of multitudes, speedily, and engulf the entire world speedily. And if you doubt me, look at how quickly the world came under domination in 2020. Just by a word, the world was shut down. Just by a word, all transportation was shut down. Businesses shut down. All kinds of things shut down, except their businesses. So when this empire, the NWO, rises up, it is going to rise up so quickly, your head is going to spin. Whoever is left on this earth, heads are going to spin. The feet of a bear is symbolic of its power to destroy by stamping out those who will not comply. So there will be people that will rise up against this empire. Even our own brethren, the northern kingdom, will rise up against this empire. But they will be stamped out. They will be prevailed against. That's what the scriptures say. That's what the prophecy says. All right? But it will have power to stamp out anyone that comes in its way. That's why the people on the earth will marvel at this empire and says, who can come against this empire? And I'm paraphrasing. Who can come against it? It is so powerful. A well-oiled machine, oiled by the oils of devils and wickedness. That's what it will do. So let's move on. And the mouth of a lion is symbolic of its roar, which will be powerful also to either persuade or to provoke great fear. All right? So the mouth of this lion, it will speak, and people will just have to comply. They will have to submit. It will also be very persuasive, because you know how these devils are. They're very good at persuading. Either you do or you die. That's their persuasion. And it will be this here in this time. Remember what happened in 2020? Either you do or you don't get what you want. If you want what you want, you got to listen to what we say and you got to obey. All right? Okay. So to either persuade or to provoke great fear. And that's another thing the mouth of a lion is symbolic of. To bring great fear. You know, when a lion roars, have you ever heard a real lion? The animal, the real animal lion, when it roars, the earth starts to rumble. Because it doesn't just roar brawling and no, it is guttural, right? It is very guttural and it's almost like sinister and it brings fear. All right, a real roar of a lion, it would stimulate fear in a man's heart, a grown man. All right, so that's the idea of why this mouth of a lion is used to symbolize the kind of fear it is going to be able to invoke in people to get them to comply. One thing that is for sure is this beast empire will be very powerful to do all of its evil deeds, as the Satan will give it his power, his throne, which is his seat, and his authority, which is to rule. And Alahayam will permit it. And that's why he only gives it 3.5 years. All right? The Satans by this time will have complete control over the world, but not over the people of Alahayam. They're the only people that they don't have the control over. And I'm talking about where the southern kingdom is already gone. The northern kingdom will still be here. Up to this point in time, they're the ones that will really rise up and fight against this empire. And of course, then we have a remnant of the Gentiles. Alahayam will have to keep them under his protection. All right? Many are going to die, but they're not going to die unrighteously. They're going to die in righteousness because they're going to be returned at the end of the age. But many are going to perish. But the ones that he will allow to live on, because his people must live on so that they can multiply and always be on the earth, because there must be a balance. The devil's people and Alahayam's people. There must be a balance. Okay? But they're not going to rule over anyone that belongs to Alahayam, whether of the northern kingdom or the Gentiles. Revelation chapter 13, verse 4. And they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worship the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. That's 3.5 years. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against Alahayam, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. So this devil now When Satan gave him his power and his seat and his authority, that means that he gave him himself, meaning that the empire is possessed and will be possessed by the Satan itself. That's why it will have great power. All right? It, and that's why it will have the authority to rule. Because each empire up to this point in time was possessed by Satan until it was overthrown. Not only was the kingdom overthrown, but the Satan was overthrown. All right? But these Satans, they recycle themselves. So the beast empire, number 7, will be possessed by a fallen angel, a Satan by the name of Gadriel. And he is the one who is currently running the UN, the United Nations. I did an in-depth study with this, and I will link it for you to take a look at. All right? So you can have a clear idea of the sequence of events as well. I did this. I also did a study of the book of Revelation, the entire book. All right? So he's going to open his mouth in blasphemy against Alahayam. All right? To blaspheme his name. And his tabernacle, meaning his worship, the place where he dwells. And of course, then those that dwell in the heaven, his angels and his people, because we will be in heaven at that point of time, talking about third heaven. That's where his sanctuary is going to be located for us. The same sanctuary that Adam and Yahawah had when they were here on the earth, called the Garden of Eden. That's where we're heading. Now we will be returning to this beast, especially verse 3, which is skipped for now until we look at the heads of the beast. We will also return when we look at the northern kingdom's regathering. But notice that this beast empire will only be allowed to reign on the earth for 3.5 years, because Alahayam will halt it in its tracks. This too we will look at to complete this study about this beast. Now, although a male pronoun is given to this beast, like all the symbolisms in prophecy, male or female pronouns are also used. We cannot assume that Alahayam is speaking specifically of a man, because he is not. This is the manner in which Alahayam speaks to his people to ensure that only those who have ears to hear will hear and understand what he is talking about. Those who do not understand will perish, and this is his intention as well. Now, why is this relevant for us today? Because the parts and pieces of this evil beast system, this beast empire, are coming together through nefarious means, and the beast is taking shape, soon to rise up. As we continue these studies, you will see that the components that make up this first beast are all here, but they cannot activate the evil agenda fully, speaking of the beast as yet. The parts, the components that make up this beast, whether it's the heads or there's the 7 heads and 10 horns. But what we're seeing are how they're developing. This is what I'm seeing. The different components are developing and coming together, right? To cause this beast to rise up soon. All right? Now, especially the 7 heads. The 7 heads, which we will look at in part, I don't recall if it's part 2 or part 3, but this, I believe it's in part 2. The 7 heads, all right, are already here. They have been here for a while. But the 10 horns, what I'm seeing today are the different commotions that are occurring on the earth are leading to this development of 10 horns. Once you understand what the 10 horns represent, then you will understand what I'm talking about. I believe that is in part. Okay, let me take a quick look here. Yes, the second beast is in part 2. Sorry. It's part 3 that will have the 7 heads, and part 4 will be looking at the 10 horns. And once we understand all these different components, we will see today everything that is happening for a reason. There's a purpose, all right? And the purpose is to cause this beast to rise up, to take dominion on the earth. All right? So let's read on. Let's see where I left off. Alahayam is restricting them as his people, the southern kingdom, must be out of the way first. Then he will allow them to continue on. So it's only because the southern kingdom is still here that they cannot move along to the next thing, which is to rise up their evil beast empire. All right? So what does this mean for us today? We need to get ourselves ready. For our time of redemption is drawing nearer and nearer every day, and we're to take heed. Take heed, brethren. All right? So this is what I am seeing happening today, that all the different skirmishes, wars, and rumors of wars, there's a purpose for that. There's a reason for that. The destruction of manufacturing facilities. There's a purpose for that. All these different things, they all have a purpose because they're getting ready to cause this beast to rise up. But the only person that can hamper them and stop them is Alahayam Yahawah. Why? Because of his people. He needs to get out of the way first. Once the southern kingdom is gone, then this beast will be allowed to rise up. And when he rises up, it's going to be in one day, maybe even 1 hour. All right? Because he knows he only has 42 months, 3.5 years to reign. So he needs to do as much damage as he can before he's taken down. All right? So that's why everything is going to move quickly, speedily with this beast. And if you notice today how things are happening at a rapid pace, to show you that if things are happening at such a rapid pace today, how much quicker this beast is going to be. Just think about it for a second. All right? You go to sleep tonight and tomorrow something happens. While you are sleeping, these people are still working in the background, in the shadows. All right? But us, speaking of the southern kingdom, the people of Alahayam, the southern kingdom, we are not to fear. All right? We need to get ourselves ready to get out of here. All right? And that's the ending of this part 1. Stay tuned for part 2. And we are going to go to the second beast. We're going to look at the second beast. All right? And with that, we're going to read the blessing for Yasharaal taken from Bar chapter 6, verses 24 to 26. That's the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verses 24 to 26. Yabarakak Yahawah wa Yashamarak. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. Ya'ar Yahawah panayo alayak wa yachanak. May Yahweh cause his face to shine upon you and have favor upon you. Yasharaal Yahawah panayo alayak wayasham lak shalom. May Yahweh lift up his face upon you and give you peace. And now we're going to recite the command that we ought to be reciting when we lie down, when we get up, when we go out, and when we come in, taken from the Barayam chapter 6, verses 4 and 5. That's Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 4 and 5. Shama'o Yasharaal Yahawah Alahayam Yahawah Ahad wa Ahabaf Yahawah Alahayak Bakal Babak Wabakal Napashat Wabakal Ma'adak. Hear, O Yasharaal, Yahawah our Alahayam is one Yahawah, and you shall love Yahweh your Alahayam with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. And with that, I will say, Shalom, Shalom. All praises to the Most High. Abba Yah.